Hello everyone, welcome back to TechBlog 66. Today we are diving into a powerful and emotionally rich classic of British cinema, the 1983 film The Dresser, directed by Peter Yates and based on Ronald Harwood's celebrated stage play. This is not a loud or flashy movie, but it is a deeply human story about loyalty, ego, art, and the fragile bonds that hold people together behind the curtain of greatness. If you enjoy character-driven cinema and masterful performances, this film deserves your full attention. The Dresser is set during World War II in England at a time when bombings and uncertainty fill everyday life, yet the story unfolds almost entirely backstage in a provincial theatre company. The war remains mostly off-screen, but its presence is felt in the air through sirens, blackouts, and emotional strain. This contrast between the chaos outside and the ritual of theatre inside becomes one of the film's most powerful ideas. The story centers on Sir, an aging and legendary Shakespearean actor played with commanding brilliance by Albert Finney Sir, is a towering figure, feared, respected, and worshipped in equal measure by his troupe. He is preparing to perform King Lear, one of the most demanding roles in all of theatre, but tonight Sir is not well. His physical strength is failing, his memory falters, and his temper is more unpredictable than ever. This is where Norman comes in. The heart of The Dresser lies in the character of Norman, played by Tom Courtenay in an Oscar-nominated performance. Norman is Sir's dresser, personal assistant and emotional caretaker. He dresses him, prepares him, flatters him, lies to him, and protects him from the truth of his decline. Norman's devotion goes far beyond professional duty. He lives entirely for Sir's approval and existence. His identity is wrapped around serving this great man. Watching Courtenay's performance is like watching a soul slowly unravel under the weight of love and resentment. Norman is a fascinating character because he is both sympathetic and deeply flawed. He manipulates situations to keep Sir performing even when it may not be in Sir's best interest. He feeds Sir praise and hides criticism. He shields him from reality because without Sir, Norman has nothing. This emotional dependency gives the film its tragic power and makes Norman one of the most complex supporting characters in cinema. The film does not rely on a traditional plot. Instead, it builds tension through backstage interactions, whispered conversations, and emotional outbursts. We see actors struggling with their own insecurities and frustrations. The company manager, Madge, played by Eileen Atkins, tries to keep everything running smoothly while balancing compassion and practicality. Other cast members reveal resentment towards Sir's tyrannical behavior, yet they remain trapped by his legendary status. This backstage setting feels almost claustrophobic. The camera stays close, following Norman as he rushes through corridors, adjusting costumes, fixing makeup, and calming egos. This creates an immersive experience, making the audience feel like part of the theater company. Peter Yates directs with restraint, allowing performances and dialogue to carry the story rather than flashy visuals. The relationship between Sir and Norman mirrors the themes of King Lear itself: power, aging, loyalty, and betrayal. Sir demands absolute devotion yet gives little kindness in return. He lashes out insults and humiliates those closest to him, yet when he steps on stage he transforms into a majestic figure. This duality raises an important question about artists and their personal flaws. Can greatness excuse cruelty, or is it simply hidden behind applause? Albert Finney's portrayal of Sir is extraordinary. He captures both the arrogance and vulnerability of a man who has spent his life being admired. Sir is terrified of becoming irrelevant, of being forgotten, of losing his identity as an actor. Finney's voice, posture, and explosive energy make Sir feel larger than life, yet his moments of weakness reveal a frightened human being clinging to his last shreds of dignity. The film also explores the cost of art on those who support it. Norman sacrifices his own happiness, self-respect, and emotional well-being to keep Sir functioning. His life exists in the shadows while Sir receives applause. This dynamic reflects a broader truth about creative industries where unseen individuals hold everything together without recognition. The Dresser does not romanticize this sacrifice. Instead, it presents it honestly, showing both its nobility and its destructiveness. The wartime setting adds another layer of meaning. As bombs fall nearby, the company continues performing Shakespeare as an act of defiance and survival. Theatre becomes a symbol of cultural resilience. Even as the world threatens to collapse, art remains a source of meaning, but the film also questions whether this pursuit is worth the personal damage inflicted along the way. One of the most striking aspects of The Dresser is its dialogue, sharp, intelligent, and emotionally loaded. Every line feels purposeful. The conversations between Norman and Sir shift rapidly from affectionate to abusive, revealing a volatile bond that neither can escape. The language is theatrical yet natural, reflecting its stage origins while remaining cinematic. The supporting cast adds depth and realism. Each actor brings subtle detail to their role, showing how people cope differently under pressure. Some resent Sir, some admire him, some simply endure him. Together they create a believable ecosystem of personalities. Orbiting around a fading star, the film builds toward an emotionally devastating conclusion without relying on melodrama. Instead, the tragedy emerges quietly through realization and loss. Norman's internal conflict reaches a breaking point, and the audience is left reflecting on themes of identity, self-worth, and the danger of defining oneself entirely through another person. The Dresser is also a meditation on aging and mortality. Sir's fear of forgetting his lines parallels his fear of being forgotten by the world. His insistence on performing Lear despite his failing health is both heroic and tragic. It reflects the universal human struggle to hold on to purpose as time takes its toll. The cinematography supports this mood with muted colors, dim lighting, and confined spaces, emphasizing the backstage world. Costumes, mirrors, and narrow corridors dominate the visual landscape, reinforcing the idea that this story exists behind the scenes, away from public admiration. The music is understated, allowing silence and dialogue to drive emotion. This restraint enhances the realism and keeps the focus on character rather than spectacle. The Dresser trusts its audience to engage with subtlety and emotional nuance rather than spoon-feeding drama. From a modern perspective, the film feels timeless. Its exploration of toxic dependency, workplace power dynamics, and the emotional labor of caregivers remains relevant today. Norman's experience resonates with anyone who has ever given too much of themselves to another person at the cost of their own identity. The Dresser is not an easy watch. It is intense, introspective, and sometimes uncomfortable, but it is deeply rewarding for viewers who appreciate strong performances and thoughtful storytelling. It reminds us that behind every celebrated figure there are unseen individuals holding them up, often at great personal cost. The film received critical acclaim upon release, earning multiple Academy Award nominations including Best Picture, Best Actor for Albert Finney, and Best Supporting Actor for Tom Courtenay. Its legacy endures as a masterclass in acting and character-driven drama. If you are a fan of theater, Shakespeare, or psychological drama, The Dresser is essential viewing. It invites you to look beyond applause and spotlights and consider the human relationships that make art possible. It is a film about devotion, pride, fear, and the painful beauty of imperfection. So that was my review of The Dresser 1983. A quiet but powerful film that proves great cinema does not need explosions or spectacle, only truth, honesty, and unforgettable performances. If you enjoyed this deep dive, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to TechBlog 66 for more classic movie reviews and thoughtful cinema discussions. This movie is available on YouTube free.